Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome in, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy Thanksgiving Eve to you. Right here on the program, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. You can join us so many different ways. You can listen, of course, over the airwaves, 97.5, 1280, 102.7 FM HD2. Those are your audio options. You can also go back, or you can also stream it on KSLSports.com. Stream it right there. You can also stream it live with the video feed. And that's where you're going to see our guy Sly with the sunglasses at night. And the studio's extra dark right now. I don't know if they made it a sexy lighting situation for Frank. Is that what happened?
It's holiday themed.
It is. Well, no, because we got the tree up and we got that sparkle in the background. I feel like we need to light a candle in here and have some Bing Crosby. Have some Bing Crosby and some Nat King Cole going on here for some chilled out Christmas. Let's go.
Yeah, where's the spiked eggnog, Alex?
On a Wednesday.
Start this show off right.
Annapolis. Let's hook our guy up.
It's supposed to be the best night of the year.
I know
for
it's supposed to. Is that what they say?
Oh, yeah. This
really?
is the drunkest night of the year, they said.
Oh, that's crazy. I would have
the
not.
Night before Thanksgiving.
Not being a guy who partakes, I would have thought, your St. Patrick's Day. Why is it that they go, you know what? I'm going to go into that family situation totally hungover. Seems like because you don't want to be
kind of self-explanatory.
I get the part where they're drinking during the situation. I don't know why they go into it.
Oh, because you don't even want to start,
sweetheart.
No, I'm not feeling it today.
Sweetheart, we're running the turkey trot. Where are you? Huh?
The turkey trot.
So that's what a lot of people apparently are going to be doing tonight. Us, on the other hand, we got you covered. Sly, man, we got lots to get into. I can't wait to jump into this. I haven't been able to actually dissect some of the things that happened in that Utah versus Kansas State game. Mm-hmm. You're, of course, going to be headed out to Lawrence as well. Bottom of the hour, we're going to have our Ute insider for KSLSports.com, Steve Bartle, before he gets on a plane to head out to Lawrence. He'll chat with us as well. We're going to talk all things, but first we got to kick things off here with just the amazing fallout of what happened last night after the college football playoff rankings were released and all the fun that came with that and just the insane part of watching this train wreck in slow motion, but we're also on the track. It's one thing to watch it and to watch a train wreck and go, no, and you can't do anything about it. It's the other to be part of that train wreck and you're just watching it. If you're BYU, Utah, the Big 12, and you're watching this thing it's going to run you over because they've decided, I feel like it's already been decided how this thing is going to go. They've already figured it out for us. This wasn't part of the script. To have two Big 12 teams in. It just doesn't work out. We didn't plan for this. We got to get Miami in somehow. I know they're in 5th place in the ACC, but we got to get them in somehow, all right? Let's figure that out. Let's kick off the show, as we always do, though, right here, top of the program with The Cut.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Trajan Wealth brings you this portion of the program, TRAJANwealth.com. That's Trajan Wealth for all your trusted local needs in retirement, TrajanWealth.com. Okay, let's talk a little bit about it here. Oregon, look, they beat USC last week. That was a ranked win in the college football playoff rankings. They beat a ranked team who was a 2-loss team prior to that. That was a strong win for them, at least according to the metrics that the College Football Playoff Committee seems to go by. So Oregon leaps Ole Miss. How much of that? Let's start there. Because in terms of numbers, when we were going through, we thought it was just going to be rubber stamped. We thought that the Utah move down the list was going to happen, but we were actually shocked because then we're like, anyway, the rest should be all the same. And then we all looked up at the screen and went, oh, wait, hold on a minute. Ole Miss got put down to 7. That's something crazy. And so Oregon leaps Ole Miss. Michigan gets ahead of Texas, which is also another interesting add. It also feels like it's just like future placement. Like, hey, if they beat Ohio State, where do you put Michigan?
Oh yeah. Right.
I mean, where does that end up?
They get that sneaky
Little boost, and they're like, "Hey, look!"
placement.
And if it's not Miami, you guys, that's what they're all saying. If it's not Miami, we got these guys in the back here in case they beat.
Everybody's gonna jump Utah.
Right.
Utah plays Kansas. It's not a big enough for a win. What do they call it? We need a more significant win.
No, is it style points now?
Yeah.
When in the history of this have we ever cared about how much you beat a team by for the win, especially in years when teams are circling you every week because you have that small number next to you and they want to hunt you down and they want to make sure that they knock you off of this thing. Kansas State, that game against Utah, I know that it was a disaster of a defensive day, but Utah is still a significantly good defensive team. And the question is when they go, wow, they gave up all those yards in that win, they just didn't look convincing. And you go, what has to happen? The only thing that they ask you to do
is win.
In all of the sports that you've ever played in your entire life is if you win, then that's it. You know what I mean? Like there are ugly wins, absolutely, but they're wins. We don't allow them to be ugly wins and then we dock you the win. You don't get an extra category over here in wins and losses. It's wins and losses. That's it. You know what I mean? Like we took the draw out of college football a long time ago because it's stupid. And you go, no, we're not going to have ties to figure this thing out. So if you've eliminated the tie, if you've avoided the loss, then the only thing that matters is the W. And I get it. Here's the other thing. This wasn't an FCS opponent. This was freaking Kansas State. And by the way, you saw him up close and personal. And Avery Johnson has been doing this for people for a long time. Avery Johnson is as athletic as anybody who walks on a football field. He is as good as anybody. He's as shaky as anybody who's on the field. He will make you miss. He's quick. He's a pretty darn good thrower for how a dynamic of a runner he is, too. He doesn't get enough credit for that. And frankly, if you're Bird Ficklin and Devin Dampier, you'd be like, hey, study what this guy does because he runs really well. He's really great at hitting hitting that outside RPO and reading that and scooting up the field. But he also throws the ball on a pretty good line. And so that Kansas State team is a team before the year started and by the way, this is not a Kansas State team that came. This happened with BYU with TCU. They go, yeah, they beat them 44-13. But that was like a bad TCU team. And you go, they were 6-3. They're 7-4 now. They're likely to go on to win 9 games this year. Okay, and by the way, TCU beat SMU, who they're like propping up right now to go, hey, one of those possible playoff teams. So if it hasn't shown enough that I'm grumpy about it, Oregon leaps Ole Miss, Utah gets jumped by Miami, and we saw it coming. And I guess it's just shame on us because we've been trained like everybody else has to know that this was going to be the way to do it. But when you saw that and when you see where they've put Miami, that feels like Utah's college football playoff hopes were dashed just last night by being docked even that spot because it feels like there's nothing they could do against Kansas this week that would put them ahead of Miami, short of Miami losing to Pitt. And then even then, you wonder if they'll try to sneak another ACC team in there. All the ACC teams are kind of lining up in those low 20s, high teens.
Right.
They're ready to pounce at any moment. I'm discouraged by how college football has run some things this year, and it just feels awful.
This year?
Well, it gets worse year. I'm just saying it's been bad in the past.
I
It's
feel
been
like
worse.
there's a story every year.
Every year there's something that makes it a little bit chaotic. And when I say a little bit chaotic, this is when you incorporate subjective, we have a committee, and this is a bunch of smart people. The biggest
bunch of smart people.
I know. The biggest lie with this committee, Sly, to me, is we don't look at prior rankings. We just go in and we rank them week on week, and we just reset it every week. Then how is it that Notre Dame and all these same teams find themselves so far up, ahead of teams that they probably shouldn't be ahead of in these things? How is Miami getting that nod? How does that happen? Well, it's because it's been decided in people's heads before the season started that they'll be good. And then in some cases, you have to wait for them to be good. So when you saw that, what was your reaction to Utah going down to 13 after getting a win over the weekend?
Well, the problem is we talked about it, right? And we thought it was going to happen, right? They were just going to Miami was going to jump them if that happened. That's why we all voted against them because we were praying that they didn't win. But the fact that they did win, it just made it happen that way. But I wasn't. I don't know. I didn't. Since we knew it was going to come, knew it was going to happen, especially with the performance that Utah had defensively and how we're talking about style points, it just wasn't surprising, right? We just knew that was going to happen. And so for me, it goes to the whole deal. It's not just this year. It's every single year that it's something. And honestly, I think they thrive on that controversy. They thrive on people hating it or loving it and, having mixed emotions about it because there's always something to talk about with it. And so it's not going to be solved until there's a bigger playoff to where more teams can actually make their case because of college football having so many teams, right? There's one thing for the NFL, right? There's only 31, 32 teams, right? NBA, same thing. But when there's 118 possibilities of teams making 12 positions, you're going to find some controversy. And I think that's just where we're at right now. And until it gets bigger, until it gets more slated that the best teams are actually in it or worth it or even having an opportunity, there needs to be a wild card. Is there? Well, I guess football is always, a sudden death. There's not like a 4-game, 5-game series, right? But I think until this bracket is extended, which sucks, right? Because you're talking about the health of football players, that you have to extend the season that much more. It's always going to be controversy. So, again, this whole Miami jumping Utah wasn't surprised. The whole bumping Michigan up to 15 to have such a signature win over number one, that it could potentially jump them up five to six spots in that college football playoffs to get them in just because of that win. And when we talk about these blue blood schools from Miami to Alabama, Georgia, Texas, and Michigan, Ohio State getting much more love and an opportunity than others because, again, we talk about this whole Notre Dame situation, right? Who are they going to lose to? I mean, they play Stanford this week. Let's say that they get surprised. Stanford comes out and plays some dang ball this week, right? Are they totally out of the picture? Because it makes no sense that this independent team continues to just be there, and they really aren't. They don't have a full schedule the way everybody else does. So it's always complexing when you get to this point in the season. But at the end of the day, as you said, win your games, and you don't have to be a part of the controversy.
Just win the games. And in BYU's case, I think what's hard, too, is watching a 10-1 BYU team
at 11.
At 11,
I feel like they've had a pretty good schedule too.
Their strength of schedule is 6th. And so when they show all the teams that are in front of them, the graphic that they had shown last night that ESPN put up was 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14 are all 2-loss teams. Now, you notice I skipped 11 in there because that's the only team that's not a 2-loss team in that stretch of 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14
right.
that they have one loss. And their strength of record, and they even put at the bottom of the screen on that graphic the strength of record for all those teams. And BYU has a higher strength of record of every one of them, including the 8, 9, and 10 teams on there. So what's the actual metric? Is it an eyeball test that we're not familiar with? Is it something else that we look at and we say, hey,
that's so crazy it looks like that?
It's kind of bonkers to see the explanation, because when the committee starts to go through and they sort of talk about it, I wonder what the real conversations are. You know what I mean? And I don't know if look, when they talk about Utah in the room, Mark Harlan has to walk out, right? That's the whole thing. He's got that's what they say. They have to recuse. If they're talking about a team that you're basically the representative of, you've got to recuse yourself, and they make them go out of the room while they talk about them, while they whisper behind your back about, man, let's see if we can figure out a way to get Miami ahead of these guys. Miami's got a tough road, I think, to still get in, and the reason is because they're not going to be in the conference championship game in the ACC. There are 4 teams ahead of them in the ACC standings. So they're tied for 4th in the ACC standings, and yet they're 13th in the national rankings, the highest-ranked ACC team in all the national rankings. And I get it. They're a 2-loss team. There are other teams in front of them in the ACC from the conference standpoint that have 3 losses. There's also UVA, who's a 2-loss team.
They talk about Virginia Tech. I mean, was Virginia Tech like –
No. Virginia Tech's a bad football team. Who's got an interim coach?
2-5 in conference, 3-8 and overall.
Right, and it was not like they blew those guys out.
They won by 2 touchdowns.
And I get it. They were there in Blacksburg. Fine, it's fine. I don't know if Utah would have won 51-31. What case
do you have?
I just wonder if Utah would have actually been ahead. Is it really that they had a poor performance against? When I say a poor performance, a poor defensive performance Is that the thing? Because I want to know what the actual metric is.
We want to be in the room, dang it.
Well,
I want to hear what your actual case, what are you actually presenting?
We were listening to
that makes you make that decision.
We were listening to Hunter Yurachek, who's the committee chair now after Mac Rhodes left. And yeah, he threw the stupid 6-7 thing out there, and we'll get to that later, but my heavens. So in the end, though, his explanation is like, and we just really love the type of football that Oregon's playing right now. They're really good on offense and defense, and they're exceptional on special teams. And I'm like, are we having special teams discussions? Are we having special teams discussions in the committee room? There's no way. There's no way. So is there a standardized metric? Because they talk about strength of record, strength of schedule, strength of record. And then when it comes down to it, and these other teams have higher strength of record, but they're further back in the rankings, and then you go, well, what happened here? They go, yeah, just we feel like, and then we get to a weird point where you're having these conversations. I feel like so and so should be the national champion. That's how we used to crown the national champion. In fact, that's how we used to get a couple different ones. You'd have an AP champion, you'd have a USA Today champion, you'd have a.
Isn't that the guys down south? That's how they got deemed champion.
Yes,
I feel like.
Oh, yeah, but that's the thing is that they got a because that's how they used to do it. Right. That's why the Washington Huskies, when I was growing up, they were national champions, co-national champions. Why? Because Miami won the AP, or no, Washington won the AP national championship, and then like the coaches championship was like voted on, and it was Miami. But that's how we used to do it. Because heaven forbid we play it against each other, right? Because it's like, no, that's stupid. They're going to be in the Orange Bowl. That's what they play in. And then you play in the Rose Bowl. Anyway, and then we'll decide who the national champion is based off of that.
Right.
So yes, it was an imperfect system back then. And it was also busted by BYU back in the day. And they had to figure out a way to not have that again, where a BYU team ends up winning a national championship. And I'm not trying to do this victim thing like, oh, poor BYU and Utah. They're victims of not being in the SEC and the Big Ten, but it is hard to look at this and say,
without opportunity.
Well, what is the real metric that you're going by? I certainly hope it's not, they had a great special teams day. You should have seen their gunners. They're just really on top of the football on covering those punts. There's no freaking way. So, and I get it. I had somebody tweet at me and go, there's no way Utah should be ahead of Miami. Miami's best win is against Notre Dame, and Utah's best win is against Arizona State. That being said, Utah's 2 losses are to 2 top 11 teams. The number 5 team in the country and the number 11 team in the country.
Combined losses is 2 losses, yeah.
2 losses. And after that, they've just taken care of business. Who cares? Like, what is it, style points? And by the way, all you can do is beat the teams that are in front of you.
Well, yeah, I mean, style points, we lost to BYU by, 3?
On the road.
Texas Tech really blew the doors open late, so
right.
You take
know
that
what's funny about the Utah and BYU both are being talked about in this scenario? Really funny because they're like, yeah, but they got beat. They got obliterated by Texas Tech. I'm like, the number 5 team in the country? The number 5 team in the country. So they beat the best teams, the other 2 teams in the Big 12 who are in 2nd and 3rd place currently. It's like, that's one of the best teams in the entire country. So which one is it? You know what I mean? It's nice when Texas A&M does it. Comes back and beats a 3-7 South Carolina team. That was
like, whoa,
beautiful.
That's a stellar team. How they came back from that.
Right. A 1-point win at home against South Carolina, who's won 3 games this year. That's the standard, but that's the number 3 team in the country that did that. And again, then they go, well, think about the year you guys went undefeated in that 2008 season. It wasn't all pretty.
Oh, no.
And no one went back and went, back then you didn't
that
say.
That New Mexico game when you only won by 3, it was a struggle through all that. You think you guys should have.
Because there are games you have to live through. You have to just, it's not pretty. You just have to get the win.
Right.
You just have to win.
Right.
So when you just win in front of these teams, and that's all you're doing is winning. It's just like the conversation with Miami and Utah was funny because they just went right to, hey, put them ahead of them. Why? Well, 51-47 against Kansas State. Kansas State has always been, in the past decade, better than Virginia Tech. Always. And this year they have more wins than they do, too. And this, I mean, do you see what I'm saying? Like, the apples-to-apples comparison is never going to be there. But tell me what the metric is, at least. Because it's not strength of record. It's not strength of schedule. And it's certainly, I don't understand what the quote-unquote style points are. Are they just talking about running it up? Are you just talking about you have to win by a certain amount? Because, by the way, even with that, Utah has beaten all of their conference opponents.
That needs to be slated as a metric, and that's what coaches would do. Because, like we talked, or they asked Coach Whittingham too. He's like, "Are you one for style points and this and that?" And he's like, "No, I would never do that."
Kalani says the same thing. Yes,
which they shouldn't, right? It's like, look, I'm worried about and focused on playing good football. But if you're worried about placement and style points is a metric, and it's known that it's a metric, then of course you have to play for style points.
So they have a game against Kansas State, and that was the only win in conference play that they didn't win by 35 points, basically.
Right, 28
so that's
plus,
the one,
yes.
Right, and so now the average, instead of 35.3 that they've been beating their Big 12 opponents with, it's now down to 27.5. Well, for shame. You only win by 4 touchdowns in all your conference games instead of the 5. We prefer 5 for our folks to get in.
I'm not trying
to make a case for Utah to get in because I still think
But it's a head scratcher for whoever gets into that situation.
Look, all those teams, the reason that they're there, the lie is that they didn't look that prior polls don't matter. That's the lie. Prior polls matter. The AP poll, as much as people want to pretend like, oh no, we didn't look at that thing, then why is the AP poll and the college football playoff poll so darn close to one another, especially at the beginning? Why is it? Because when you have a preseason number 1 in Texas, they're still 15 at 7-3 because they can kind of hang around a poll when you're the number 1 team in the preseason.
Right.
Unless you're Florida State from a couple of years ago, and what did they do? They went 0-6 or whatever it was. They went 2-10. And it was like, well, we can't put those guys in. But Notre Dame stuck around at the beginning of the season because they were a top 5 preseason ranked team, right? Top 5 preseason ranking. So they lose their first 2 games. And that was the other thing. This is what's crazy is normally when you lose late in your schedule, it's done for you.
Yeah.
Miami's lost 2 of their last 4 games. Okay? It has not dinged them like we thought that it was going to ding them. They just keep moving up.
And the ACC is not – nobody in the ACC is going to make your strength of schedule matter.
Look,
like if I take a loss to an ACC opponent, it's not supposed to be like, well, it's so-and-so.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's what's so hard about Miami even being in the mix.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. We have Steve Bartle, our Ute insider for KSLSports.com, who's going to join us. He's going to be getting on a plane this afternoon to go to Lawrence, watch the Utes and the Jayhawks facing off. I think it's the first time Utah's ever traveled to Kansas to play in Lawrence. I don't know. That's probably the first time you've ever gone to Lawrence, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's probably hopefully the last. No, you'll have to be there other times. Come on, man. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk with Steve about what this game looks like for Utah to be able to try to put together. All you have to do is get another win. That's all you have to do. That's all you're asked to do to get to a 10-2 regular season.
This is great.
Stay here. 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Covering the Utes better than anyone else, this is Ute insider Steve Bartle of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back to the program. Happy Wednesday to you. Reminder, it's a Win Ticket Wednesday. We got some tickets to give away a little bit later. Don't miss it. Let me see here. Steve Bartle, our Utah Utes insider for KSLSports.com, joining us here. Sly sitting in for JJ, who's I'm sure enjoying the time of his life as he's on a road trip to take his family to go hang out up in Idaho. No problem. This is
I just envision JJ being Chris Farley from Billy Madison.
Everybody on the bus.
I'll turn this bus around in your
You're
precious
yelling.
field trip.
That Veronica Vaughn. Yeah. So Steve Bartle joins us on the program. Sly Sylvester, of course, played linebacker at Utah, played linebacker in the NFL for the Steelers, and so he dips in and gives us some of the ideas. That's why he was extra offended on Saturday by the lack of stopping the run by Kansas State.
Oof.
Steve, you were in that stadium. We talked a little bit about that earlier this week about how wild of a crowd that was, but some of the people left early, so some of the crowd wasn't there to cheer them on. What was your takeaway from this whole thing? Watching Utah go through this whole season, but get to 9-2, and on the cusp of going 10-2. What did you think of last week's game against Kansas State?
Yeah, one of the most incredible games that I've got to witness. From both sides, right? To watch Kansas State do what they did to Utah, it was really impressive because Utah has really dominated this season and really on both sides of the ball at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Outside of that Texas Tech game, they've had their way with the rest of the Big 12, and you just kind of grow accustomed to that being the case. And Kansas State came in, and throughout the week, I just had a feeling, right? You go back the week before, and Kansas State struggled against Oklahoma State. I think they won 14-6. The offense looked, pretty bad, and a lot of people talked about Kansas State having melded in, and they're done. They're quitting on the season, and I just had this sneaky suspicion that they were going to come out against Utah with something to prove, right? Obviously, it's easy to overlook Oklahoma State given the situation that they're in. And I think Kansas State came in ready to go, and they had a plan that Chris Kleiman installed and a message to his team. I think he talked about their desire to come into Rice-Eccles Stadium and run it down Utah's throat. And to their credit, that's what they did for 55 minutes of that game. It was shocking to watch Utah struggle and give up a big play after big play. It was a shock. I remember me and Furlong, we were at halftime, we were scrolling through the game log season after season looking for, the highest rushing total in a game, let alone a half, because we're looking at the number. It was, 348 at the half, and, just a shocking number. So, from that perspective, right, Kansas State coming in, punching Utah in the mouth, with this team, just continuing to fight back, continuing to press forward and fight till the bitter end. I think that, above all else, is what Kyle Whittingham prides himself on, that he's never going to die, he's never going to give in, and that's what we saw Saturday night is, Utah took the punches, but then, late in that game, they got that play on the 2-point conversion. Teo Johnson takes it the other way, and suddenly, that's the spark that Utah needed to get it going. And even despite, Devin Dampier's, fumbles that led to that touchdown score and that 2-point conversion play, to see Dev bounce back after that mishap and make the plays he did down the final 7 minutes of the game was really, really impressive. And like Whittingham said in his post-game presser, they were treated to a pretty special event. It was one for the ages, and the crowd that was there was still a pretty good presence of Utah fans. I would say probably 15% of the stadium emptied out, but the crowd that was there still made it when Dev ripped off that run and then got it into the end zone, and then Lander Barton intercepts the Avery Johnson pass a couple plays later. That was still one of the loudest moments that I've experienced being on the field at Rice-Eccles Stadium over the last few years.
Yeah, man, I've seen Coach Witt pissed off. I'm interviewing him as we go into halftime, but I haven't seen him that mad since UNLV 2007. We got blanked out on the scoreboard, and rightfully so. It just doesn't make sense. It was kind of a head scratcher, but in these games, right, you do have ugly games during the season where it's kind of a battle, but at the end of the day, you pull out the W. I kind of felt like, I don't want to know, Steve, were you feeling that from Kansas State? They were getting more and more energy with the stuff, because of course, Coach Witt alluded to it. He's like, it felt like basic power roll. It felt like basic away zone, basic counter, and we just weren't guarding well. Did you feel like Kansas State was getting more and more energy and more confidence, as they kept breaking runs and allowed it to get to 300-plus rushing yards in the first half?
Yeah, absolutely, and rightfully so, right? You see one, you've got that, you get hungry for the next one. And then you rip off another one, and you get hungrier for the next one. And there's just this growing belief and confidence that these players build when you see these big plays rip off, right? When Utah the week before, despite what they did on the defense side of the ball, giving up 500 yards, they still made plays on that side. But the offense, ripping off big play after big play, it's a big motivating thing to get back out there and make the next big one.
Right.
And so, I think, for Kansas State, it was, it was as impressive a performance that I've seen. They just came out and really controlled the line of scrimmage, controlled the trenches, generated a lot of movement that made it difficult for Utah's linebackers to flow properly and to get downhill and get a clean hit on Joe Jackson and get a clean hit on Martin and Johnson and those guys. So it was an impressive performance, and they continue to build momentum. But again, getting back to Utah, you take those punches, and then you finally get a stop in that second half to kind of – that's where you start to build some of your confidence. And then you get it into that late fourth quarter. You finally get a couple of big stops again, and you make the play down the stretch to seal it. And I think that's just what this game is all about, is building play after play, momentum play after momentum play. That's really what this game is all about.
Steve, as you see this Kansas game and it looms, and obviously, I don't think Witt is the kind of guy that goes, we got to make sure to run it up on these guys. I think he likes to beat the heck out of teams because that's just the style of ball.
Physically, like the score doesn't need to showcase how bad you beat a team.
It has in a lot of these weeks, and I think Kansas is ripe for one of those because it feels like they're a team that has massively underperformed over the past 2 or 3 seasons, Steve. And so what do they have on the line as they welcome the Utes into Lawrence?
Yeah, Kansas, 5-6 on the year. They're going to be battling for bowl eligibility. So this is a big one for them, and this is also senior day, and they've got a pretty big senior class. With that, I was told I think it's going to be about 33 players that they honor on senior day. But with that, it's different than what it's been in years past, right? When you talk about senior day, because a lot of these guys, they're just here for a year and that sort of thing. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic, right? How many of these guys have been with Kansas for an extended period of time? I don't really know, but I think there is going to be motivation to come out and try to replicate what Kansas State did, right? I think that's where Kansas has found a lot of success, is in their rushing attack with Jalen Daniels and in that option with Daniel Highshaw and those guys. And they're going to try to do what Kansas State did. And for Utah, this is a great test to kind of showcase that, the work you put in this week to address those issues, to address those mistakes and mishaps and the lack of physicality, the lack of discipline and toughness that you need to defend the run. This is your opportunity to showcase that you can still be that dominant defense against the run. So this is going to be a great test for Utah because there are some interesting factors going into it. It's going to be a tricky game with it being a Friday morning game, the day after Thanksgiving. I know the team is going to be flying out Thursday night and getting there that night and all that. But I think this is going to be a tough test and a good test. And despite the record, Kansas has been competitive. They've just given up games late in the second half where they're competitive. They're going back and forth for 3 quarters, but then they just fail to make the plays in that fourth quarter. And so for Utah, you don't want it to get there, right? You don't want it to get to that fourth quarter where Kansas is hanging around, lingering, and because they're going to want to prove that they can get it done. And against Utah, with that number 13 ranking attached to their name, that's a big opportunity for them to get to bowl eligible, to send the seniors off with a win, and to make a statement that, the thing that you struggled with all season, you finally overcame it, you finally figured that out. I know that's something Lance Leipold is going to be harping on this week with his guys as well. So this is going to be a good test. And obviously, given the record of Kansas, it's not going to do much for Utah in terms of, helping their resume and all of that sort of stuff. But this is going to be one where you have to go in this taking care of business and come in there with that mindset.
Yeah, you've now had a few days since the game has kind of let off and been able to see everything. I want to get your impressions of Coach Witt, right? After that crazy up and down wild finish on Saturday from the post game, him to his Monday press conference. I know you were there, and now a couple days after there was practice last night and Monday. What have you gotten vibe from Coach Witt and how he's feeling about this moment, of course, about this season, and then, of course, his whole career?
Yeah, I think obviously we understand where Kyle is at in his career, right? He is in the twilight of his career. He's in the final, days, months, years, to go that far. He's in the final couple stretches of his career. That's the stage that he's in. And so, each and every moment is kind of a unique one because it could be the last, right? It could be the last that Kyle gets to coach Utah in Rice Central Stadium. And I think it was really telling. I shouldn't say telling, but I think we all read into, his press conference when he, got choked up talking about the seniors and this being their last opportunity to get a win at Rice Central Stadium. I thought that was really interesting. But I in terms of how he's approached this season, we know Kyle, he doesn't want it to be, he doesn't want to be a distraction. He wants the focus to be on his guys, on his team. And that's kind of the approach he's taken all season, is focusing on his players, his coaches. And I think he doesn't want it to be a problem. He doesn't want it to be a distraction. And so, I don't know where Kyle is at in terms of
nobody knows. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where he's at in terms of coming back next year or retiring. There's, having conversations with people. There's plenty that side on both sides of that discussion. But I know that Kyle, he's still sharp. He's still, energetic. He's still coaching with a passion that you love to see. And I think, for him, I think he is taking greater appreciation of, where he's at in his career. It's been interesting to follow him over the last 5 years, being up there at just about every press conference, being able to talk to him in the postgame, and just kind of getting a feel for Kyle and who he is. And I do feel like there's been more of that appreciation for the bigger picture and that sort of stuff from him this season. So we'll see what happens with Kyle. Obviously, but I think he's still capable of coaching next season and beyond. But I think the emotion was really interesting to see for him, to say the least.
All right, Steve Bartle, our Ute insider for KSLSports.com. Steve, have fun out there in, whatever version of fun they have out there in Lawrence, and enjoy the holiday tomorrow a little bit, and have some turkey on us. And you know what? You slide that P card at a turkey place, and you say Alex gave you permission to be able to have some of that. So have fun out there, man. We're looking forward to what you guys put out there online, and we'll follow all of it.
Appreciate you guys. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time, all right?
There you go. Steve Bartle, everybody. Absolutely.
That guy works, man.
He does.
He is out there. Gotta appreciate his work. Absolutely love it, man. It's crazy. Yeah.
I wonder what this is gonna. I'm kind of going back and forth on Twitter with some of these guys chatting about, like, it is
Twitter. Come on now.
I don't really love it, but it is. I mean, I'm not fighting. They make great points. It's just like, look, it's the same thing we talk about like every year. Bad losses versus good wins versus like okay wins versus okay losses. Like, we have these back and forths, and you're like, what does that even freaking mean? A decent, that was an ugly win. It's like, you just freaking won. Who cares? Just get it done. I don't know. I'm just bracing for the ridiculousness of the explanation of what we're going to get in a couple of weeks if BYU falls in the championship game. If Texas Tech loses to BYU, like, come on, they're going to stay, right? I have no idea, because I feel like then they'll be in this two-loss mix where everybody goes, yeah, but let's look at your SOR and your SOS and your PPI. And it's like, come on, man. I'm not doing it. I don't want to get into all that. There's no way that two ACC teams should get in this year in a weak ACC year and not two Big 12 teams being considered. It's crazy to me. All right. We'll come back. We got more to go around the corner when we return a Would You Rather, a holiday edition of Would You Rather. So stay here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Listen, everybody. Real-life hypotheticals to get your brain churning. As JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
Welcome back. It is JJ and Alex on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone, a Wednesday edition of the program, getting you ready for Thanksgiving. Sly Sylvester sitting next to me here in the studio. I feel like we need to turn more lights on. This feels weird.
No. Sunglasses have to go darker then. So
I guess to justify your sunglasses in the studio, which, by the way, even if there were a even if there's just a spotlight on you, you would still keep them on. I mean, if there was just like, if it was
I got
just,
him on at night at Rice Eccles Stadium, dang it.
it is always fun to watch Sly on TV. I always look for him on the TV broadcast. Because you're like, there's always, and it doesn't matter. There's always like security and stuff like that, and guys who like are kind of half paying attention to the game. There'll be like a ball boy who gets a little too into it, you know, and you're like, ooh, that guy. I don't know if his bosses want to see him wearing that, wearing the ball boy vest and then jumping up and down or pointing at the opponent. And I've seen some like trash talk from some of those guys. When I see Sly has this. I'll do it for the camera. He's right here. He's got this wide set stance, and you see these legs out like this, and it's like he's breaking down like he's going to hit somebody. And you're like, this guy. And I remember watching him during the Rose Bowl in one of those, when Mekhi Bernard caught that ball in the corner end zone.
I was down there.
Sly's got his like microphone in his hand, and he's like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, this freaking guy, dude.
I'm just like everybody else. I'm a fan. I am a football nerd, a junkie. I absolutely love this stuff. I'm just down there doing exactly what everybody else is doing in the stands.
I know. It's funny to watch. All right. I've got a would you rather. What's the worst holiday for family get-togethers?
The worst?
The worst holiday for family get-togethers.
Oof.
You know, is it getting together on a 4th of July and it's hot and it's kind of, and you're kind of, maybe the barbecue's happening outside. Thanksgiving, I think gets maligned for being like the place where everybody dumps all their political views. But that can happen anywhere.
Anywhere.
And frankly, I think it happens at all. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Taco Tequila Tuesday night.
You settle down. You incorporated it into a Taco Tequila Tuesday?
Hey, now. Triple T.
That is like LeBron James, like, Taco Tequila Tuesday. Like, whoa, settle down. You lush. Jeez. So my question is, what's the one that you guys get together as a family? What's the one that causes the most problems?
The most problems or the one that you can do without?
Maybe both, because it doesn't help. It causes problems, and so it's easy to go, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and avoid that one.
Here's the thing, and why I'm probably not the guy to ask.
I get along with everybody. That's BS.
It is that too, but at that same point, I'm probably the guy causing the trouble most of the time, so I have a different perspective. So I don't know if I'm the right person to call.
That's a great question. Nobody wants to invite us to anything, so back to you.
Everybody hates us, and I don't know why. No. Is it me? Am I the common denominator?
I guess if you meet 10 jerk family members, I might be the jerk. Hold on.
I don't know. For me, the one that we can do without is probably Easter. I could do without that family get together on that.
Yeah,
that one just
feels
it feels overdrawn. Of course, I think a lot of people are getting away from the meaning of holidays anyway. But,
Easter especially. Like they don't even know what they're doing there.
Right. I think we could do without that one. Thanksgiving, I absolutely love it. There's just way too much activities going on for that to be taken away, right? From the football. Who's talking about turkey trot? You're talking about turkey trot.
Turkey trots, get out of here. Who does that? If you're doing a turkey trot, trying to show us all up,
I got friends. Actually, I got to see if they're doing it. They normally do like a little charity run out in Sugar House Park.
That's fun.
And they take shots of wild turkey and then go do like a 3-mile run.
Again with the alcoholic friends you have.
Hey man, choose your friends wisely.
You know what's funny? I used to live by Sugar House Park, and back in the day when I used to actually run, I would every weekend. By the way, there's a charity run at Sugar House Park, a 5K.
It's great.
And I would go what they would call bandit the race, which is just I would go run. I would go do the. I'd hit my thing on my watch and I'd run. They'd try to give me a T-shirt at the end. I'm like, no. Like I would avoid it, and I would actually. But they're watching you. They're like, "Where's your number?" And you're like, "Huh?
Why are you here?"
And all I'm trying to do is just get skinnier. I just don't want to be as fat. And I'm like, look. I like being. I appreciate. What is this? Oh, okay. Oh, great. I'll be a part of your charity. But the thing is that at Sugar House Park on any given weekend, there's basically a charity run.
Right.
And I lived right there, so I was always like, it's kind of nice to kind of be running against the clock. I'm not into winning all your stuff, but come on. Here's the thing about these holidays. When you do have football, it makes it easier.
Yes.
Because I can go straight downstairs at my in-laws' house and sit on the couch down there and watch football, and I can avoid. Now I have exceptional in-laws, so we don't have like a lot of back and forths, too many back and forths.
Well, I get along with everybody.
See, this guy's the problem at the party, isn't he? This guy's the freaking problem. I'm finding out now. Holy dang it.
I am the antagonist. I've been sending memes all week to my family already. Talking to my
He's sending political views. He's doing all this. Have you guys seen this that was said on
my cousin's a
InfoWars?
bodybuilder.
Yeah.
My cousin's a bodybuilder, so she sends a meme talking about like how I walk into Thanksgiving when knowing everybody else doesn't lift and whatever. I was like, so how do you walk in with stank breath?
Oh,
show
wow.
us a video of how you walk in with that. I'm that guy. And then we just went back and forth for the next hour. So
female family members too.
Oh, anybody can get it.
Okay.
If you got enough to pop off, you better be able to take it, because I ain't stopping. Like even last week, right? Like the Cowboys won, right? And I got a friend who I've been giving crap to forever. She texts me. He's like, yeah, my Cowboys. I was like, please keep texting me. Please keep texting me. Because when January comes around, I want to have no excuse to let up. I'm going to text you. When these playoffs happen and the Cowboys lose again in the wild card or don't make it at all, I'm going to send you a barrage of social media reels. I'm one of those guys that you just didn't watch 300 of my reels I sent? How dare you? How dare you? I'm that guy. Sorry, I am.
It's like you show up to the family thing and there's always a guy who goes, you know the moon landing was faked, right? And I just turn right back around and I go, all right, I'm out of here. All right.
That's my uncle.
Everybody's got it. We'll take a break. We'll come back. When we return, Riley Nelson, former BYU and Utah State quarterback, going to join us on the program, give us some thoughts on how this season is shaken out for BYU, how to finish strong for BYU, and then what a conference championship game looks like in year 3 in the Big 12 for this BYU team. Stay with us. More to go. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Let's go! Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. It doesn't get much bigger than this as the Cougars look to earn a spot in the Big 12 title game as they take on UCF in Provo. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're locked on to JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Where'd you get the karaoke version of this song?
Oh, man.
Here it goes.
I'm just picturing walking down the WWE ramp. This is my entry song. Fireworks going off when the beat drops.
I'm trying to here's the thing is you and I have known each other for probably 5 years now. I don't know if I've ever seen you with the sunglasses off. I don't know if you have eyeballs. I think that you have those Ray-Bans super glued to your face, and you're actually embarrassed to admit it. It was a party prank, and you've just kept it like that for years.
You know, it fits.
You fell asleep at a party in college, and this has been you ever since.
I don't want nobody.
Did you get
to
married with sunglasses on?
Hey, if I did, she would have flipped out.
Oh, I was gonna say
she would have came out like, "You got those on?"
Yeah, that's
so.
The,
no, I can promise you, I did do that.
Oh, good for you. Hey, welcome to the program. It is a Wednesday edition, a Thanksgiving Eve edition of the program. Stevenson Sylvester filling in for Jeremiah Jensen, who's on the road, headed up to see some family, just like you should be. You know what I mean? And joining us on the program right now, top of the hour, we're going to get going right here with Riley Nelson, former BYU and Utah State quarterback. And also, of course, one of our colleagues on this program, he's sat and witnessed the sunglasses in person himself. Let's get it all kicked off right here with the cut.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Doug Smith brings you this portion of the program. An American Fork, Spanish Fork, and in Linden, nobody knows cars like Doug. Riley, what's up, man? Do you have to host Thanksgiving this year now that you guys have once you finish building a house, then everybody goes, anyway, waiting on that invite.
Riley, are you finished with the house already?
Absolutely, yeah. No, in fact we were in last summer, so we hosted last year. We hosted my side, set to host my family side again, but my wife's older brother, who lives in Eastern Washington, anyway, they couldn't travel, so we said, let's pick up and go to you. So you mentioned JJ's on his way. I'm on my way to McCall, Idaho. Yeah, so they're out in Moses Lake, and that's like the closest thing we can get to a midway point that makes
McCall's
it
pretty,
travel.
man. McCall's pretty, my mom's from Moses Lake. It's not. My mom's from Moses Lake. It's not pretty. I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, Moses Lake has the unique distinction of being. You guys remember on Oh Brother Where Art Thou? George Clooney has the line that's similar to this, but like Moses Lake has found the spot in the United States. It's 4 hours from anywhere that anyone wants to
1,000%.
But
yeah.
I'm driving through Bronco country right now, thinking about the Ags and if they can play spoiler. I know the Broncos got a spot in the Mountain West Conference Championship on the line this Saturday. Aggies obviously, fallen maybe a little bit short, losing that UNLV game, losing that New Mexico game of maybe their expectations.
Yeah, but that Fresno win was awesome, man. They got the bowl eligibility, year one of Bronco. Come on, that's like the 05 Bronco when I was in school when it came around.
That's what I'm saying. So, the two previous games, obviously, go down and kind of get dog walked by New Mexico, and then they lost that UNLV game that they absolutely shouldn't have lost. Like, God bless that poor kicker. Turn around, wouldn't take that Fresno game on the road, and now they can go 6-0 at home and spoil Boise's season. And I can't tell you how much better 7-5 looks than 6-6. So anyway, just driving through, wishing all the bad luck on all the Boise State Broncos around.
Yeah, and they get so annoying with all that stuff because you're like, I've never seen a town that leans into a college, just a college sports program as being the only thing that matters, in their entire life. You go into every gas station and just like everything is BSU stuff, and you're like, man, this Boise State crowd, it's a special group. However, Riley, let's dip in on this one. I want to get your thoughts on the college football playoff. When you watch that thing play out and you see the rankings come out and you see kind of how things are set up, do you look at this and just go, oh, there's no the only way that BYU gets into that to that college football playoff conversation is just winning the conference championship game, which of course they'd have to win against UCF tomorrow, but even beating Texas Tech for a second time seems like a tall order.
Well, yeah, absolutely it does. Well, first of all, you said thoughts on college football playoff. Like, I sit back and laugh. Like, did we think this was going to play out
differently?
Any other way than
I wanted it to.
Out?
I had hopes.
like, come on. It was the vibes from the Blue Bloods. You know why they got rid of the BCS? Like, the fans were like, oh, I don't like the BCS computer, da-da-da-da. The Blue Bloods wanted the computer out of there because the computer was the closest chance any of us ever had to any kind of
anything that makes sense, right?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, no, I mean, tall order. I don't know. Obviously, you had that muff punt, and you had some stuff play out in that first Texas Tech matchup. So where I can see, like, all right, special teams plays a little bit better. The defense, I thought, actually played really well. Here's what I can't see. Where were the cracks, like where were the doors that were cracked open that BYU can, pry open with BYU's offense against that Texas Tech defense? That's what I didn't see any, and that's why. Now, look, first of all, disclaimer, like, take care of business against Central Florida. But what I don't see in a rematch is, like, how do you move the ball and put points up on the board? And anyway, so while I'm excited for my Cougars and always hopeful, I'm probably not to the point of being optimistic yet. And that, honestly, that has more to do with the strength of the Texas Tech defense than it does any deficiencies in the BYU offense, which I think has been surprised for the positive in so many ways this season.
One of the things, Riley, that we've been watching, of course, along the way here is how BYU, you always look for kind of indicators that BYU's gotten better over the season. What's been the thing for you that you look at and you go, okay, that's gotten better. That's why this team right now is where they're at on the verge of getting their 11th win of the season.
I mean, it was already strong, and maybe I'm just a little bit over-indexing on the recency bias, but I love the way that L.J. Martin and that offensive line closed the door in that game against Cincinnati. I mean, the physicality, so that shoulder looks good. They had that third down. I think it was like a 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4. And Cincinnati ran a nice stunt, had a free runner, and LJ stones the dude in the hole, bounces off, gets the conversion, and 2 plays later ran the touchdown to seal the game. So for me, it's that's what it is. It's the ability to, like, it's that Michigan style, that Jim Harbaugh, like everybody in the stadium knows you're going to run it, and you do, and you still accomplish your goal. That's just awesome. I don't think BYU had that at the beginning of the season, but they sure do now.
Yeah, I actually want to get your vibe on the entire season, what this feels like. From all of the drama that's been going on in the offseason, from Ratzlaff leaving and then Bear Bachmeier, true freshman, coming in. And you're a quarterback, you're a former quarterback and a former player from them. But what does this mean for not necessarily BYU fans? I know you can speak for BYU fans, but BYU players and everybody that's been a part of this program is the type of season this is. What does it mean from your perspective?
I'm going to give you it means you better pony up and pay those coaches, because honestly, the reproduction, I think the continuity, the only way that you're able to withstand all of the turmoil of the off season is with and I believe, like, you can track a statistic, right? Like the different positions on the staff and the different coaches and how long they've been together and their tenure. And BYU, I think, if not top in the country, is amongst the tops. I don't think there's any way you weather it without that staff being in place. And so if you can acknowledge that, then you got to do everything in your power to keep that going, because I think that's a little bit of a magic sauce there for the program. But then the second thing is just, like, proud of the players and proud of the leadership. They had senior and upperclassmen leadership that extended beyond the high-profile positions at quarterback. Now, granted, on defense, I think everybody expected Jack Kelly and Isaiah Glasker to come back and lead that defense, which they absolutely did. But then those guys have gone through the ringer in terms of injuries, where they haven't maybe been to playing at 100%. Kelly's missed some games. So, anyway, just stepping back and looking at it, credit to the coaches, credit to the players for being able to embrace that adversity. And it's a lot of talk, right? The team actually did it, and that makes you really proud as an alum and as a fan to sit back, and here we are at 10-1, chance to beat 11-1, take one step forward. I mean, last year at this time, BYU needed help to get into the Big 12 championship game, and the chips didn't fall in their favor.
Right.
This year, they took that one step forward. They've got their destiny in their own hands and in their control, that if they take care of business against Central Florida, then they're in the championship game. And then once you're in the game, you just keep telling yourself that any given Saturday.
How does UCF get taken care of this week then? Because, and I think a lot of it has to do with the mental side of it. I do think that this is a team that has grown up mentally. Like, you think about this team from 2 years ago, and not just the mental aspect of it, but even like the run game part. I think that was the worst part of that team's game, and then to be flipped around and have it to where it is right now is bonkers. Just a couple of years later, but. What do they do, or how do you avoid a shortfall against a team that, on one hand, feels like that they're not even that into it, and even though they're in a much better spot than they were last year, at least their coach is going to stick around, because Gus Malzahn basically quitting on his way out the door of that press conference against Utah last year down in Orlando, their last game of the year. But how do you avoid just coming up short and showing up without that mental toughness?
Yeah, we got together Cincy game, and there was a few of us former players that were watching the game together, and there was some frustration from some of them with maybe some of the play, like the lack of aggression or lack of killer instinct. Like, and I think if I'm being honest, I think it had to do with the fact that, like, Utah obviously wasn't able to get it done. They're on the outside looking in. They need help to get in there, but here they are championing how they just have boat raced everybody.
Yeah.
And BYU hasn't boat raced everybody. So, like, a couple of the guys were sitting around wanting to do it. I was like, listen, this team does not lose. Like, forget winning or boat racing. Like, this team simply does not lose, right? Mike McDaniel said it earlier this season. Before you can win, you have to not lose. This team is experts at not losing. So I think that's going to bode well for them going into the UCF match. They simply don't give the ball away. They don't give you – if you don't create your own air to breathe, they don't give you any air to breathe. And I think a team like UCF it's set up to go in there and take care of business.
Yeah, man, and I don't think people understand how important that is. Yeah, Utah's championing, but that's the only weapon they got. They got to throw it out there to get something going. But I do agree. Alex and I were just talking about this. It's just like, it used to be measured on when you wins and losses, right? And, when you go back and look at a season from 5 years ago, you're saying how many wins did they have versus how many losses that they have, right? And so at the end of the day, that's all should matter, man. But absolutely loved it. And so you, from former quarterback position, and you've seen all these BYU quarterbacks over the years, what is your impressions on Bear Bachmeier this year and finishing out, and how sure are you that he's going to be able to do the job here come Big 12 Championship and CFP?
So, first of all, I got the chance to went to the first game. It was actually a TCU game, and sorry, got some distractions and noise going on in the car. But the TCU game, here was what I said. However thick you think Bear Bachmeier is, he's thicker.
Right.
And like
Centaur,
whatever
was
he
the Portland State guy said.
Yeah, he's a goddamn centaur. Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible, guys, to like see him come out of the locker room and like stand next to him. It was crazy. So anyway, there's no way that a freshman that's built like a normal freshman does that. So that's talking about his physical tools and his physical gifts. But then let's talk about his mental gifts. And this is a guy like that. He has no ego. Like he plays no hero ball. He is 100% in for the team, and he just has the complete self-control to be able to to be able to do whatever needs to be done for the team without without going back into his high school mode. It's like, you know what? I took this over out there in Murrieta, California. I'm going to be able to take it over here in Provo. You don't see any of that, and boy, the fact that they've got him for. And I talked about ponying up to pay the coaches. You better believe they're going to have to pony up to pay him. But he's been extraordinary.
All right, Riley Nelson, BYU quarterback, of course, somebody who we dip in all the time on these seasons to be able to kind of give some perspective on not just the quarterback position, but this team overall. But have fun on the drive up there. Stay safe with all those kids packed into that thing, man. I know the vibe of trying to get everybody into one place, and it's a tough deal. Doing a phone interview is a tall task.
I bet you do.
Congrats to the Nelson family for keeping it in check while while you guys were driving there. But you know what? It's probably Sister Nelson who needs all the kudos for keeping everybody quiet.
That's right, and all the support and the praise. Listen, Little League's over. I gave you the recap last time I was on with you. Our youth season ended not how we wanted, but it ended proud. But now that I'm done. Like, for old time's sake, let's have it back in the studio. No distractions. Maybe I even come back in the full show with you guys.
Okay, we'll do it.
So always love being on with you, and let's do that before this football season wraps up.
Let's do it. Riley Nelson, everybody. Appreciate it. Stay safe out there on the roads, and absolutely. I mean, look, I think our Football Fridays are
wrapping up. You can do our last one here.
Yeah, but you know what? We're going to have a conference championship game coming up. We might have to get them in on one of these weeks and just kind of have a –
I say we do a field trip down to Arlington. So you're going to be Utah
field
BYU
trip
in there. Oh, what about both?
Have you ever done? I did the Cowboys. I did the AT&T Stadium tour one time, which by the way is hilarious because you're paying to go into a stadium. Okay, and they walk you around, and it's like $65 to walk around a stadium that's empty. Wow, and that's where Jerry Jones laments every loss, right there in that chair. Yeah,
easy money right there.
It's crazy. And what do? They walk you through the Cowboys gift shop at the end. And then you're like, I'm not even a Cowboys fan. I'll take 3 things. Thank you very much.
The science of marketing is so beautiful. I'm so interested in it. But like the way they do that, and you always end at the gift shop after you have all the emotional attachments. Yeah,
I know. Well,
so right before the gift shop, they showed you all the Super Bowl trophies, right?
Well, not just that. They also walk you through the Cowboy cheerleaders locker room.
Oh, no, that'll make me buy. I was a big Cowgirls fan.
I walked out of there. I walked out of there with a skirt. It's nice.
Hopefully it wasn't for you.
I did. We went through that tour, and I remember thinking to myself, okay, I guess they got us. Well, we'll have to have Riles in. That'll be fun. Jam on this thing and kind of get going on what this – because, look, we don't get that often. I mean, think about a year where BYU goes maybe 11-1, goes to a conference championship game. Utah goes 10-2. Like we're told how dumb we are. When we said Utah would go 10-2, I got harassed quite a bit on both sides. Like, okay, they're gonna lose to Iowa State, huh? Which is funny where we picked the losses on the list. I'll have to go through and look, but it's like, I think that,
that'd be good to Football Friday if we go back through all the stuff we talked about.
I mean, I have it right here,
projections.
I think, on our rundown, right? It's like the actual wins and losses that we had.
I had Utah at 11-1, and everybody's like, shut up. I didn't think we would lose to BYU.
Oh, now hold on a minute. On the 2nd of
April?
On the 2nd of February, we had Utah, or on the 4th of February, we had Utah at 9-3. Now the losses for me came against Arizona State, laughable now, right? At Baylor, and then at Kansas. That's what I said was going to happen. Why did I pick those games? I don't know. I did have them down for 51-40. I had them beating Kansas State 51-47 though, just in case you wondered. I put it down for that. So.
Oh yeah, you're so smart.
Now here's the thing: pre-Jake Retzlaff, we both had BYU at 10-2. The pre-Jake, but after the Jake Retzlaff, I think we kind of went, oh boy. It went down. I think the over/under went to 7.5 in Vegas. 7.5, maybe 8.5. I mean, that was high. And I'll be honest, I remember how many times we have Mitch Harper on, and he goes, "Yeah, I think this is a kind of I think 8 wins would be phenomenal this year, considering when you got Bear Bachmeier, considering the quarterback battle that you were doing basically 5 seconds before the season started. It's bonkers."
Right.
Yeah, Utah was 7.5 by Vegas. We took the over. BYU was 7.5. We took the over. Oh man, Texas Tech was 8.5. We took the over. Thank heavens. Kansas State and Arizona State, they actually had the higher over-unders. Can you believe that before the season started? Kansas State, Arizona State, Texas Tech, those were the top 3. And then Baylor, and then BYU, Iowa State, Kansas, and Utah. You know who crushed their over-under? Houston.
Oh, what?
5.5.
Oh, yeah.
5.5 before the season started.
Houston's a big surprise.
So, all right. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We've got more around the corner when we return. Let's jump in and we'll have a conversation around the. Do we? I know we have. It's a Win Ticket Wednesday coming up. We're going to give some stuff away at some point. We'll do it. Let's do it coming up here in just a little while. So stay right here with us. More to go. We have our NFL Blitz up next. It's a Thanksgiving weekend. You know what that means? NFL games, when they shouldn't be normally played, we're getting them. All right? Thanksgiving games across the board. Stay here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
All the latest news and notes from the league and the locals in the NFL. JJ and Alex bring you the NFL Blitz on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
What are you doing over there?
I just feel like I'm in like a black and white Western, and I'm just riding through the desert.
Got the chaps going. I'm
wearing my Levi's.
My brother-in-law's a cowboy. He trains cutting horses. He buys and sells and trains cutting horses, and he's just cowboys that get. They're going down to the stockyards to buy horses like next week. That's how big of a cowboy this guy is.
It's an event.
Oh, it is, and the amount of money.
Oh.
That is on the line?
Oh.
With these horses?
Imagine how many Jack in the Box tacos you could buy with that.
That's where your head goes? I was trying to explain
You go to Moon Pies?
I was trying to... Ooh, I forgot to bring... no, we left the extras at the warehouse.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want these anymore.
Well, I was going to eat them. That's the problem. I was trying to explain to my kids because I was like... Because they have a Jack in the Box now in Kaysville, okay? We're getting big time in Kaysville, all right? got the Jack in the Box. So Jack in the Box shows up, and my kids haven't gone once still yet. They're nervous to go. They're like, what do they even do there? I'm like, burgers, curly fries. They do the whole thing. And they're just kind of gimmicky with all the... I go, but they do these tacos, though, that I will eat all day. And they're like, ooh, tell me about it. And then I start to explain it, and then you're like, I'm describing terrible food to these people.
Yes.
You're like, so what they start with is you're going to fry a taco, but imagine instead of the shredded cheese, we're going to put American cheese on that taco. And if you there's no other place in the world that you go, give me some of that American cheese, give me some Velveeta for my taco. It's like, no, that does not happen because these aren't tacos. They are Jack in the Box tacos.
It's crazy.
Very different.
People
okay?
do some wild stuff for Jack in the Box tacos. I remember every time I came back from Vegas, my friend was just like,
I know.
Yo, make sure you grab
better
me like
grab
8
some on the
tacos.
way back. I know.
And
I
like
know.
he never came by my house to pick them up for like a week.
This might be a fat guy
And he
move.
still ate them.
This might be a fat guy move I've got to do. On the way home, get a bunch of these Jack in the Box tacos and just force the kids to be like, this is dinner tonight. We're all eating it together.
Hey.
And we're going to enjoy it.
I don't know about fat guy. It just sounds like a responsible
No,
dad.
I say
It's
that
like,
for me.
hey,
A responsible dad getting the
look.
Jack in the Box tacos. Hey, we're going to bring
You're
fried
gonna do
tacos
what
home.
you're told and eat these tacos.
Is that taco in a sleeve, Dad? You bet it is. You don't want any of that high-quality shredded lettuce to fall
Put
out.
it
How
in the
dare you?
microwave if you want.
Nominate the Utes Sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week award. Just submit that nomination, KSLSports.com/contest. Every Thursday afternoon, we read off a winner. Not going to do it this week. You know why? It's Thanksgiving tomorrow, all right? Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers by reading off who those Hercules Hero of the Week winners are every week right here on the KSL Sports Zone, brought to you by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. Okay, classics, of course, on a Thanksgiving. Lions have to play. The Cowboys have to play. And now the AFC North typically rotates in the Ravens are kind of like a Thanksgiving team now too. They got kind of grandfathered into that, I feel like.
Right.
Packers at Lions, Chiefs at Cowboys, Bengals at Ravens.
I think those are good matchups.
Well, the Chiefs at the Cowboys is interesting because every game is like
Very important for both teams.
for both teams. But more so for the Chiefs because the Cowboys we expect disappointment.
Suck.
Like every year, right? And so the Chiefs, though, are on this like verge of even right now, even after that comeback when it was 20-9 against the Colts, I was like, okay, they might, the Colts might win this game, man.
And
But then they
playoff
had,
hopes might be
there's too much time left for Patrick Mahomes. All right,
Mahomes.
so he got it done. I just don't see the Chiefs losing to the Cowboys. But, you know, the Cowboys are going off of that juice of beating the Eagles last week. If they could go back-to-back weeks of beating the Eagles, then the Chiefs, that might be a boost of confidence that team needs.
You know what? Keep pumping up these Cowboy fans. Keep doing it. Keep doing it.
You know, you guys could be the best team.
In the whole NFL.
Transitive win properties, you'll have just beaten last year's Super Bowl matchup. And so
Yeah.
you're basically world champions.
Basically. Basically. I mean,
Basically,
the
you'll be
division, they
working.
should just hand you the division right now. You should get a first-round bye for that, for sure.
First round bye. What'd you guys do? We beat the Chiefs and the Eagles during the regular season.
Back-to-back weeks.
Back to you.
Super.
Well, that was really nice. Oh, yeah. And by the way, it's not like they're doing it like it. I mean, CeeDee Lamb is dropping balls like crazy.
Crazy.
And look, you know who else is a little bit ugly right now in their division are both the Packers and the Lions, man.
It's weird.
It is weird to watch the Packers and the Lions be behind the dadgum Chicago Bears in their division. Now, I think it'll kind of even out. I'm just waiting for the Lions to show up, though. So Packers at Lions, that's a nice one. Chiefs at Cowboys, love it. And then Bengals at Ravens. Those are your Thanksgiving games. Hey, out of those two AFC teams, which one did you hate the most? No, Bengals, right? Bengals are the most hated team from the Steelers' perspective, right? Although, no, I should say this. The Bengals, Ravens, and Browns hate the Steelers more than the reverse is true,
Yeah,
right?
I definitely agree. And hate's a strong word. I think if there was any of the three teams that I hated, it'd definitely be the Browns. I freaking hated that place. As far as the games that I just love to play, I love to play the Ravens games. Those games were just so fun. Crap Talk was at an all-time high.
That's because it's teams with a lot more on the line typically than the Bengals brought to the table.
Right. I mean, my first year, we played them 3 times, twice in regular season and divisional game, and every single game was decided by 3 points or less. And back and forth in fourth quarter, absolutely epic. Set the tone.
What was the
of that relationship for me?
Obviously, you guys won the divisional game that year, but what was the record the rest of the way? You guys beat them all 3 times?
No, we lost the first game.
Okay.
We lost the first game by 3. They came back last. Hushmanzada. TJ Hushmanzada.
TJ Hushmanzada.
Got a big first down, and they got that. But then we won the game later in the year, and then we won
Then you won the divisional, obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
hey, speaking of the Bengals, Joe Burrow added to the active roster ahead of his possible return.
I can't wait to bench Lamar Jackson right now. Bro, 25 points from a quarterback? Oh, killing me in my fantasy. I'm never playing fantasy ever again, though. I tell you that much. Never again.
Get that drop. Because when he signed up
Alex,
again next
get
year.
it, write it down, take a picture. I don't care. I'm never playing again. I am too invested, and I hate it. I knew I was going to get this
That's
way.
why he's going to be back.
No,
That's
I
why he's
can't
going to be
do
back.
it. I get so distracted.
We're midway through. By the way, this happens every show when Sly comes. Partway through the show, and then he goes, "Yeah, this guy killed my fantasy." And I'm like, "Dude, grow up, man!" Like,
No, I
geez.
can't. Now I'm talking like everybody else. I used to think everybody else were talking that way, but I get it now.
Did you see the Chiefs? Did you see the Chiefs this last
Who
week?
does that?
Did you see that Trey Smith was out there? He ruined my fantasy. I'm like,
Smith?
nobody's thinking about
See
that.
Noah
dude.
Gray drop that ball. Oh my gosh, you would have gave Patrick Mahomes the right numbers. I would have got it. Oh yeah, never again. I look at the game totally different.
Hey, speaking of quarterbacks that could be back, Jackson Dart taking first team reps on at practice today. Did you see that?
Over Jameson? He's a star, man.
Listen. Jameson did exactly
What he was
we
supposed to
thought.
do.
Well, what we thought he was going to do too. Just like be super exciting,
Yes. Interesting.
get you there, but never really be able to put you over the top in that game.
Yeah.
But Jackson Dart taking first team reps. I would pump the brakes. Like if I'm the Giants, I go, I want to get this guy reps, but let's not do it earlier than we need to, right? Like because it was concussion protocol, wasn't it? Was it Jackson Dart?
No, it
okay.
was concussion
Jackson
protocol.
Dart concussion protocol. Don't rush the kid back, please, because I'll tell you what's going to happen with Jackson
You're
Dart.
already eliminated from the playoffs. You only
But
have 2 wins on the season.
But not only that, I'll tell you what Jackson Dart's going to do. Continue to run the ball with reckless abandon, which is the way he gets a
just
bell
what he
rung
does,
anyway.
though.
I know. I just don't. I think they're going to have a hard time stopping
Him and Scadaboo together are probably a perfect pairing. Perfect pairing. You know, it's funny. They're 2 wins against really good teams, the Eagles and the Chargers.
Yeah. Well, I thought, you know what? They almost beat the Lions last week. That
Should
was
have beat
crazy
the
about it.
Broncos and they
Yeah.
let them come all the way back. That was wild.
That was nuts. That's terrible for them.
But that's football, man.
I know.
Gotta love it.
Let me see here. Drake London, doubtful to play against the Jets. It's fine. You don't need to play against the Jets. They'll be fine. Shedeur Sanders, by the way, you saw he told the media, I'm not comfortable in the spot that I'm in. I want to stay the QB1. I'm going to stay. Did he quote Kalani Sitake, say he wanted to stay humble and hungry? Is that what I heard? Well,
It's a popular sports
the
phrase.
bottom line is he wants to keep that starting job. I think that the owner probably wants you to keep the starting job too.
Here's the thing. I think the Browns are hurting themselves because they're just making his ego even that much bigger. Because it's like, there's no reason why you're not playing me.
Listen, he went. He came in the game his first, not start, but the first appearance as a Brown.
Yeah. Throw a pick.
4 for 16 for like
that's
40
'cause
yards and a
he
pick.
wasn't prepared. But he was able to prepare against Oakland.
Oh, okay.
Or Oakland. Vegas. Sorry,
Do you
Lord.
ever need to really prepare against Vegas?
No, but I'll take it.
Hey, Geno Smith, by the way, apologized this week. Did you see this? Geno Smith finally apologized for flipping off his own Raiders fans.
But that's the most Raider thing ever.
I know.
Here's the thing.
Don't apologize.
Here's
Just
the
say,
problem
hey,
with
and I'll
that
give it to you again next
is
week.
I bet it was more outside people worried about it and pissed off than actual Raiders fans. I think Raiders fans are like,
Raiders
Gino,
fans are
you're
like-
finally showing some energy.
Yeah,
we love
they
it.
go like this. You know what? Duly noted. Thank you. Thank you for the
Yeah,
energy.
I think Raiders fans, that was
Lloyd's
the most
all- Lloyd's
Raiders
all,
thing ever.
That's my quarterback.
That's my quarterback. Just flipped me off. He shows he loves to be here.
man. That's my quarterback. All right. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We have our top 10 coming up right around the corner. Stay here. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Nobody gets you ready for Utah football more than the KSL Sports Zone.
Ready?
The regular season comes to an end for Kyle Whittingham and the Utes as they hit the road for a battle against Kansas. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're locked on to JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Hopefully you and yours are having a great pre-Thanksgiving. I will be making 3 pies tonight. And I'm doing it the easy way because I like the cold pies. I like the ones that I don't have to actually bake. Now
You don't have to bake what?
Yeah. So like,
Banana cream pie?
yeah, this kind of stuff. See what I'm saying?
Vanilla wafers.
Yeah, vanilla wafer is it's a cookie. You're right.
It's delicious. Now I'm starting to think about it. All the different.
I'm gonna go.
I thought there was supposed to be like a day where they were gonna make a tradition where everybody eats the desserts the day before.
So we get together. My sister's family and we get together one of the nights and get together and make pies.
Pie
and
night?
usually just turns into us eating desserts that night. Yeah, no, it's good. So I do, and you make an extra pie basically so you can eat it right then. So I'm going to do a lemon cream pie, and then I'm also going to do a triple berry pie. Right? I like the fruit pies more than I do. In fact, it led me to this quick top 10 list. I've got two things. All right. Annapolis, you ready for this? The top 10 Thanksgiving pies that are not pumpkin pies. Not pumpkin pies. Because you know why?
Absolutely not.
Pumpkin pies are disgusting.
Thank you.
Hey, I have this. Look at this. This is why I like Sly. He speaks the truth. You have JJ over there who's like, I'm on television. I gotta give in to the masses.
No.
I love a pumpkin pie. I like people who don't like pumpkin pies too. He's like getting all diplomatic.
Mr. I love everybody.
Mr. TV, come on.
Oh no, man! I'm the antagonist. In
Somebody was like,
Thanksgiving.
"Oh, am I gonna do the sweet potato pie this year or the pumpkin pie?" I'm like, they both suck. They're not good. You're dousing it in ice cream. You're
Easy
putting
on
all
the
this
sweet
whipped cream
potato.
up. I don't think any of it's. All you're doing is hitting up a squash situation or a starch situation with a ton of spices that no one cares for. All right?
What?
Give me the refreshing.
What are all the pies you don't like?
Pretty
Or
much
that
just,
shouldn't
no,
be
pretty much
even
just
in the
pumpkin.
mix.
But I think sweet potato tastes too much like the pumpkin pie to be able to be a part of it. All right. So here's what we're gonna do.
Not.
I've got
Sweet potato tastes good.
I've got a top 10 in front of me. You ready for this?
All right, let's go.
Top 10 top 10 pies that are not pumpkin pies at Thanksgiving. On your mark, get set, go.
Oh, we have to guess. Apple pie, blueberry
Ding.
pie,
Oh wait, blueberry.
strawberry rhubarb,
Ding.
cheesecake.
Ding.
Let's go. Banana cream pie.
Ding.
What are the other ones?
Annapolis, come on, you don't eat pie? You too good?
You don't eat pie? What a
Huh? What
weirdo!
was
You're
it? What
wasting
was it?
time.
Cherry.
Cherry pie? Ding.
Is
Yeah.
cherry pies
I'll
on
count
there?
it. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Blueberry was not though, by the way.
It wasn't. Terrible. What are some? I'm losing it right now.
Yeah.
Sweet potato. You said sweet
I
potato.
already said sweet
We
potato.
said banana cream pie. We said. Oh geez, I need to.
You do need to.
What's that? Jeez.
Just go through your head the Marie Callender's kind of
I
menu.
am.
It's
It's lemon meringue.
Oh, dang, he got it.
I worked right next to Marie Callender's in high school. Yeah. What are all the other pies? Dang it! I used to go over there after work every day. Oh.
I didn't even know there was this many pies.
Time.
Man, Marie Callender's. They did it, bro.
Okay.
I love Marie
You
Callender's.
missed one of the big ones. You got lemon meringue there at the end. Coconut cream on the list. Also, not to be forgotten, the pecan pie.
Oh, how did I
list?
forget pecan?
The pecan pie's on the list.
I love me some pecan.
And then
pie.
they actually went with a. This one to me is kind of interesting.
Is
I
there
don't
a
know if I've ever
cobbler
had
pie?
it.
Is cobbler considered
Yeah.
a pie?
So here's that's what I was going to say is that I don't like apple pie with the lattice stuff on it. This stuff, I like it with that crazy crumble on top.
Okay.
And so
okay.
an apple pie that is basically a crumble, I'll take it. That's the one I prefer. And then number 4 on the list was the McDonald's drive-through apple pie. For all you sad people going through
that
McDonald's.
better not be on the list.
It's not. I'm just kidding.
I was about to say, that's too specific. Because I used to get one of those too. They were on the dollar menu in college.
Well, yeah. Oh, you know what? I wonder what the apple pie is on the McDonald's menu these days from a price perspective. Hey, Annapolis. Just quick. We'll have a quick look at what the cost of a 2025 apple pie is, if you please. I just listen. I just don't. Hold on. Let's do an over under on it. I'm gonna say $2.89.
On
What's your
what?
guess? On an apple pie now in 2025.
How much it costs?
At McDonald's. The drive-through apple pie McDonald's. $2.89. That's my guess.
That's actually a really good guess. I can't go up that high. It just wasn't. I say
That's where we're at though.
$2.15.
Annapolis, what do you have?
$2
Oh, look at that.
on the money.
You know what? I have to get through. I might have to go through when I'm going to get my Jack in the Box tacos today.
A fast food night. Maybe
Might have to go
that's
through.
what Wednesday
Kids,
needs to be.
We're going easy tonight.
The day before Thanksgiving.
Everybody, prepare your stomachs for
Jack
this
in the Box
American
tacos,
cheese
Arby's
Jack in the Box
curly
tacos.
fries,
Yes, all the places that I would
McDonald's apple
never.
pie.
That's the other thing is the kids are like, Daddy, what do they do at Arby's? And I'm like, nothing, son.
They have the beef.
Nothing you need to worry yourself about. They see all the commercials and they're like, I see all these commercials every 2 seconds on TV. I've never seen a soul buying anything at Arby's. No, you won't either. All right. We'll take a break. We'll come back. When we do, got lots to talk about on a Thanksgiving edition of the program, pre-Thanksgiving edition of the program. When we come back, Chris Boyle, he covers UCF athletics for Daytona Beach News Journal. He's going to give us some insight as to what Scott Frost's first season has been like, the change of the attitude of the team from Gus Malzahn to Scott Frost, and now one win away from bowl eligibility. What can UCF do against BYU here in Provo coming up on Saturday morning? Stay here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's another battle for the Aggies, and the KSL Sports Zone has it covered. It's a Black Friday showdown for the Aggies as they welcome in Boise State to Logan. Your home for all the play-by-play coverage of Aggie football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're locked on to JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I want to congratulate our producer, Alex Napolis, who was familiar with the sabotage video more than Sly, our 1990s pop culture expert. I'm all, remember the sabotage video of BC Boys? And he's like, I can't remember it.
I'm actually looking it up.
Napolis is in his mid-20s, and he's all, yeah, dude, they're running around in their like 70s cop gear with their glasses on.
This is what Napolis did for a senior prank.
Dressing up like, yeah. No, it's always good to impersonate officers. Just for the kicks. You know?
A great movie, Let's Be Cops. That's underrated. I actually love that. Damon Wayans Jr., they did a great job, man. That was funny.
Welcome back to the program. Thanks for being with us on a pre-Thanksgiving edition of the program. And it's a Win Ticket Wednesday at the station. You know what that means? You're going to be rewarded handsomely for listening to our program as you're headed out of town or, lots of people hitting the road. By the way, this is like one of the big nasty crash type situations across the country. And here in the state of Utah, we've had a bad year. We've had a bad year for driver fatalities and injury crashes. And so be safe out there, all right? However, if somebody's in the car with you, and if they're listening, or if you want to do the hands-free dialing, if you call us right now, call in number 12 on a Win Ticket Wednesday, gets a pair of tickets to see Nate Bargatze, the Big Dumb Eyes Tour coming to Delta Center next week. That's right. At the end of next week, you'll be able to get some tickets to see Nate Bargatze at Delta Center. All you have to do is call us right now, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE, 801-575-9663. And call in number 12 gets themselves a pair of tickets to see Nate Bargatze over here at Delta Center next week. So there you go. Congrats for listening, all right? You get rewarded for listening on a holiday edition of the program. Let's kick off this hour, though, with the cut, as we always do. Let's jump in here, have a conversation about UCF versus BYU at LaVell Edwards Stadium come Saturday morning. Let's jump in right here with Chris Boyle. It's the cut, top of the hour.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Trajan Wealth brings you this portion of the program. All your trusted local needs in retirement with a local fiduciary. All you have to do is give them a call, 801-899-7600, or visit their website, TrajanWealth.com. Chris Boyle covers UCF for Daytona Beach News, for the Daytona Beach News Journal. He's joining us right now on the program. Chris, thanks for being with us, man.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Thanks for having me.
Are you coming out to Provo for this matchup between UCF and BYU?
I will be, and I just trained my body for the cold by going to see some ice sculptures here out by Disney World. So I'm hoping that braces me for anything.
I don't know if it will brace you for anything, but it is. I will say it's a little bit more mild than it could be. I have sat through some awful games in November at LaVell Edwards Stadium and at Rice-Eccles Stadium that are in like sub. We're talking about in the teens with the wind chill, and it's not going to be nearly that bad, but it is going to be kind of cold, but it will be a nice setting for UCF to come out to Provo. These are two teams who have definitely had different seasons. What's Scott Frost 2.0 been like for UCF? I'm imagining last year the Gus Malzahn era ended so weird. At the very least, this is a much better situation for this UCF program going into their final game this year.
Yeah, I mean, Scott Frost 2.0 has been interesting. I don't think it's been quite exactly what UCF fans have expected in terms of the pace of play and the explosiveness that they were accustomed to in 2017 when he was last here. But I think that's also kind of down to the personnel and also a cognizance of not burning out the defense. And the defense has been the stronger unit all year. I actually think Alex Grinch, who took a lot of flack when he got hired as the defensive coordinator, has done a pretty good job with this unit at all three levels, particularly on the back end and coverage. They've been a pretty rock-solid group the whole season. But, yeah, it's been a different style of team. It's been inefficient at times. It's been fun to watch at times, certainly in the West Virginia and North Carolina games, I think when optimism was a little bit higher. But they've really, really struggled on the road. It's been downright ugly at times. They lost 30-3 at Baylor, one of the worst defensive teams in the league. They lost 48-9 to Texas Tech just 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So they're averaging only 10.8 points per game, and they're 4 games away from home. They've lost 8 in a row on the road overall. And, given how good of a team BYU is traditionally at home with an over 75% win rate at Lavelle Edwards Stadium historically, I think this is going to be a really, really tall task, especially with how much they're playing for and knowing that not only a spot in the Big 12 title game is on the line, but I talked to Mitch Harper just a couple of days ago. I said this is a game they may need to win with some style points, not necessarily to rub it in, but to give the casual voters that may be tuning in at 1 o'clock on a 1 o'clock Eastern as opposed to 10 p.m. Eastern, when sometimes you get that East Coast bias, I guess you can get from the voters. You got a chance to maybe open up a few eyes and show what you can do.
So what has been the problem? We talk about UCF and kind of the games that they've played, and Alex Grinch doing a great job thus far with what he's been able to work with. I did see the Cincinnati game, and there is some talent on this roster, but what has been the issue of not being able to put it together, or what is it? What are they so close on?
I think pre-snap penalties has been a huge issue all year. They've got close to 30 pre-snap penalties across the season. So. And that's been particularly evident on the road. I remember in a mid-October game against Cincinnati, they just continued to shoot themselves in the foot. Any sort of positive momentum they had in that game, because they drove the ball and they had the ball for over 40 minutes in that game. They ran 90 offensive plays and scored 11 points that day.
Right.
So they had opportunities to go out there and make things happen, but it felt like every time they started to put together 1-2 positive plays, they would go right back the other direction and give away 10, 15, 20 yards worth of penalties. So that's certainly one thing. Inexperience, especially on offense. I mean, you look at the roster, Taven Jackson, this is his first year as a full-time starter. He started 1 game for Indiana last year and a handful the year before that. Miles Montgomery, their starting running back, it's the first time he's really been trusted as a full-time starter. A lot of their top receivers, Waden Charles, who had a career-high 6 receptions last year, is a true freshman. Dwayne Thomas was more of a part-time player at Charlotte. He's one of their top receivers this year. Dylan Wade, who had a monster game last week against Oklahoma State, was kind of a complimentary piece at Maryland. Now he's kind of been the go-to target for them. So a lot of inexperience. The offensive line has had its issues as well, getting pushed in the run game. So it's kind of compounded. All those things at once have really kind of stunted them from showing up every weekend and finishing drives and being able to put points on the board.
When you see this BYU team and what they've done this year, it's been, I think, exceeding expectations for what fans thought was going to happen after Jake Retzlaff left the program after he transferred out. And obviously adding, freshman Bear Bachmeier in the time frame that they did, post-spring, and then having a quarterback battle, and then the true freshman wins a quarterback battle. There were a lot of head-scratching moments for fans who were like, what are they supposed to expect this year? What have you watched with this BYU team that you've been impressed by with what the freshman's been able to do and what this team's been able to do now on the verge of 11 wins in the regular season?
Yeah, I think Bachmeier's done a good job of avoiding mistakes and running the football with physicality. I always think that BYU is just a really physical, obviously mature team. They are typically an older team than most of the league, in a given year. But I also think that they brought back so many playmakers on both sides of the ball that it really helped smooth that transition. Chase Roberts, I remember, caught a touchdown and was a real problem as a deep threat against UCF last year. L.J. Martin had over 100 yards rushing against UCF last year in Orlando, and he's coming off of his best game against Cincinnati last week. The defense has certainly impressed me. Jack Kelly has really been a player that's caught my eye the few times I've turned BYU on, and his ability to get after the quarterback and make plays, in the second level of defense as well. I think he's really been impressive. He's a guy that'll be on my All Big 12 ballot here in a matter of weeks, and I think certainly the safeties have been good too. They've got 3 or 4 guys back there that can make things happen in coverage, and if UCF's not careful, they can certainly find the football.
So what kind of performance are we going to see out of UCF? You say, defense has been doing good, but your guys are terrible on the road. You had a pretty good win last week against Oklahoma State. Guys played well. Tatum Jackson had a nice day. Of course, a couple interceptions, but for the most part, they played pretty good in squeaking out that win. But what kind of performance do you see for your team at the end of the season here against and fighting for bowl eligibility as well on Saturday at LaVelle Edwards Stadium?
I see a hungry performance. I think there's a lot of incentive for them. Obviously, they're going to want to go to a bowl game, especially the seniors that are not going to be able to have any eligibility beyond this year. This could be their last football game, right? So they want to go out there and get back to a bowl game for the program. Scott Frost has financial incentive to win this game. I know it's something he's not really going to talk about publicly, but in his contract, if they win and they get to any bowl game in 2025, he gets an additional year, a 6th year at over $5 million in salary. So there's motivation. Yeah, there's motivation for him to win the game certainly too. It was a bit of an eye popper when we saw the terms of the contract released back in the summer. I think this is certainly a team that wants to prove that it can be not only competitive on the road, but go out there and maybe pull off an upset. Last year, a good example for this would be the Iowa State game. I think that would be a great template for them if they can pull off a similar performance to that. They went on the road last October to Iowa State, and they were ranked in the top 10 at the time. They were expected to win that game by 2 or 3 scores, and UCF led for most of the game, including into the final minute. They gave up a late touchdown. Jakari Brown ran for well over 100 yards that day. So if they can give you something like that, I think that would be something that, win or lose, UCF fans would be really positive about if they can go out there and have a quality end-of-season performance as opposed to seeing kind of the same things we've seen typically. Now, do I expect that against BYU? No. Quite frankly, I don't. I think we're going to see that this team, Scott Frost the other day, kind of for the first time all year, said we are what we are. I mean, you're 11 games into the season. You know exactly what kind of team you are right now, and unfortunately for them, it's been undisciplined, it's been self-destructive at times, and it's been inefficient. So I think that, to me, is probably the most likely scenario, is that you're going to get BYU rolling early, and I think it's going to be one of those things where it could be a bit of a snowball effect.
One thing that this UCF team has always been able to do, and obviously it'll take some time for Scott Frost to build his guys up, but he recruits that area in Florida well. How has the recruiting been for him this time around? Obviously, you need a little bit of extra time. And what's kind of his superpower when it comes to bringing in guys who buy into that UCF program?
It's been interesting. He certainly hit big his first time around here. You go back to his first recruiting class, he was able to land 2 guys in Tristan Hill and Richie Grant, who are off the radar 2-star recruits who they developed into second-round NFL draft picks on defense. So they were able to find some guys that were overlooked or didn't attract the major recruiting networks at the time, and they were able to do that. Now, they're hoping to do that again this time, but really their class is very small by comparison for 2026. They only have 13 commits, and only 5 of them are from the state of Florida. So they've kind of branched out. It's been tough for them to kind of reestablish some of those relationships, I think, and And, of course, you have the new age of recruiting, right? Like you have the opportunity to go find more established college football players. And if you're spending money, would you rather take a handful of shots in the dark on high school guys? Or would you rather go out there and buy players that you've seen tape of at this level? So I think that's another major question mark that's going to be the long-term vision. Now, that could also be guys coming back home. Dylan Wade, for instance, is an Orlando native. They've been able to find Sincere Edwards, who was an impact player at Pitt as a true freshman, came back, and he's from Apopka. So they have that second chance type of recruiting available to them as well. I think long-term, they got to find a balance. They got to find a balance between foundational pieces that they want to retain long-term and develop from day one, and then also filling the gaps in the depth chart that can provide immediate help at key positions.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game on Saturday. I always, when teams have things on the line, take the Utah game last week at Kansas. They're fighting for bowl eligibility as well, and they came out and had a great performance. And so hopefully there's something the same from UCF, so we can see some good football this weekend. But what is your opinion on the whole CFP kind of roundup and how we have potentially 2 or 3 Big 12 teams, and how this whole is shaking out? Like, we still don't know who's in the Big 12 championship till the end of this week, and how UCF can kind of play spoiler on that.
Yeah, I think UCF definitely has the opportunity to play spoiler. Like I said, I think BYU has to win this game, and they have to do so relatively impressively.
Right.
I told Mitch this the other day, quite frankly, I thought BYU got jobbed last year. The fact that they were undefeated for, 9 or 10 weeks of the season, they lost 2 of their last 3 games, and it was almost forgotten that they beat SMU in September, and that was the last team that made the field as a wild card, right? So, obviously the on-field result didn't matter at the end of the day. It was more like, what does the team look like in late November as opposed to what they looked like in the first couple months of the season. You're kind of seeing that play out again with Miami and Notre Dame this year. So it makes you wonder, with this voting system, do the on-field results even matter, right?
Right.
And I think that's a huge, huge problem. I think if we're going to have games where you're trying to build all these marquee matchups early in the season, and then later on in the year, they don't matter at all when it comes to the voting, what's the point? What's the incentive for these teams to schedule this way? Just schedule as many easy wins as you can and try to go out there and win your conference. I think it's a bad look. It's a bad precedent to set. And I think the Big 12 has shown year on year in the last couple of seasons here that they can go out there and their top teams can compete at a very high level. I think Texas Tech is a well-deserving top 5 team right now, considering the talent on the roster and what they've done and how they've done it. The fact they've blown out so many teams this season. And I think BYU, you go back and look at some of those wins. East Carolina's a road win that's aging well, certainly every week. And I know that they haven't had the strongest schedule, but Cincinnati on the road at nighttime, I think is a really nice win. I think it's a win that any team in the country would be happy to have as a road win. So I think that they should be very much in this conversation, regardless of the conference they play in. And it may take, a loss or 2 from a team in front of them to slide in, but I would absolutely have them certainly in the discussion here in the final 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch how, I don't know if it's – do you think that when the Big 12 added – UCF, BYU, even the Four Corner schools, Cincinnati, Houston. Did the conference take a big hit when it came to just like the way they looked for other conferences? Because it just seems like, even though the ACC doesn't seem like it's one of the strong ones out there. I mean, you live out east, and so you're able to kind of get that vibe a little bit more because obviously Florida gets talked about a lot as an SEC team. Florida State even gets talked about a lot, and Miami does obviously as both as ACC teams. And so I don't know what the vibe is outside of kind of the world we live in, on except for what we see with the College Football Playoff Committee, who just seem like they like to lean toward those other conferences.
Well, you lose the 2 major brands in the league, right? You lose Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC, and theoretically it makes the league substantially weaker, and it makes the SEC substantially stronger. Now, Oklahoma's had a very good season. Texas has had their moments. They've lost most of the big games they've had on the schedule this year. But that's the reason I think the perception of the Big 12 is down from a national perspective and maybe from a casual perspective, to be honest, is that the 2 biggest names in the league defected and left the league kind of for dead. But I think that you look at some of the teams that they've added over the years. Arizona State last year took Texas to overtime, really should have won that game. And you look at what Cam Scadaboo was able to do in the NFL this year. Jordan Tyson might be a top 10 pick this coming year. I mean, there's good
Spencer
football
Fano,
in this league.
Yeah. A lot.
Yeah, Spencer Fano at Utah, who's going to be a high draft pick. Tetaroa McMillan at Arizona was a top 10 pick last year.
Right.
Travis Hunter won the Heisman. I mean, that's not by accident. There's really good players and really good teams in the Big 12, and I think that the league was undervalued last year, and I didn't expect that it potentially could be again this year. And what's been sort of a down year for the Big 10. I mean, their best teams have been good: Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon to maybe a slightly lesser extent. But I thought if any year that they were going to get two teams pretty easily, it was going to be this one, given how well BYU's played all year and given how much money Texas Tech spent and how much that return on investment's paid off.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how this one goes. We'll all convene at this. Well, Sly won't. He's going to be in Lawrence watching the Utes from the sidelines there, calling that Utah game. I'll be up in the press box, though, and Chris, come over, say hey to all of us over there in the BYU media area on that side, and we'll high five, and you can enjoy the beautiful view from up there. At the very least, it'll be cold, but not where we're at, my guy. It's going to be good food up there, and we're going to have a good time, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like I was saying earlier, it's my first time ever going to Utah. I know the stadium views are spectacular. I've seen them from just pictures, so I'm looking forward to that. If anybody listening's got food recommendations or things to do out there in the 48 hours or so that I'll be in Salt Lake and Provo, give me a holler. You know where to find me.
Wait till you scarf down one of those cougar tails.
Okay. that sounds like a winner.
All right, settle down. It's a big giant donut at the stadium, all right? That's all I need to know. But hey,
thank
look,
you guys so much.
It'll be good. All right, Chris, we'll talk to you on Saturday. Have fun, safe travels. There you go. Chris Boyle covers UCF for the Daytona Beach News Journal. That'd be a fun paper to work for. I got to live out in Daytona Beach, Florida, man. Oh, dang. My brother lives out there in that area, and it's
nice.
Well, you go out there and you're kind of like, gosh, there's not. I mean, he'll do the thing too where he'll text me a screenshot of their weather, only on days that he knows that it's bad here.
Oh, that's
See?
that's a real
brother
move right
it's
there.
an older brother move.
Yeah,
too.
Oh, for sure.
Nobody asked, and then he'll send me a screenshot.
Do you ever do the younger brother thing where you just pop up at his house like, hey, we're here for a week. What's going on?
Oh, I've definitely done it. I've definitely showed up at his. Well, I've definitely been like, "Hey, man, I'm at the Orlando airport. I'm here for a thing. Can I stay at your house?" Huh?
Let me talk to my wife. Hold on.
All right. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Cole Bagley, our Utah Mammoth insider for KSLSports.com, is going to join us coming up here. Utah Mammoth, by the way, right after our program ends, we'll have a shortened 6 o'clock hour, and you're going to get the pregame at 6:30, and then it's going to be the Utah Mammoth and the Montreal Canadiens facing off over at Delta Center here, the last of a 4-game homestand. So we'll see how they can do. Can they make it a third win in a row? Boy, they need it. Stay right here with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The exclusive home of the Utah Mammoth is on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ian Cole gets to the puck first in the Utah zone. Cooley waiting for it. Cooley on hat trick. Watch! Bingo! Logan Cooley gets his second hat trick of the season. Points in 4 straight entering tonight. Bowman snowed under. Cooley at the empty net. Give him 4! Gets his 4th goal of the night. It's 5-1.
You're locked into JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's time to talk hockey with the Utah Mammoth and NHL insider on KSLSports.com, Cole Bagley on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I heard that intro, and I had like a weird flashback back to when we had portable CD players. Remember that?
fact
and he'd
that
be
you
like,
even said,
remember, you're like,
Flash.
hold it straight. Hold it straight. And you were really classy if you bought like a nice Sony Discman that had the.
He had to show it off too.
They had it wasn't tracking. What'd they call it when it was like the skip? They basically had like the skip control on it.
Skip protection, yeah.
You could like run around and it wouldn't skip. And then I had the cheap brands that had to be like walking around like it was on a platter so that it wouldn't skip. But that like intro, and then I started thinking, what a weird time that we lived in. We were like, and I remember actually like being like longing for the Walkman, right? For the tapes. Give me the tapes. Those don't skip, man.
Right. Yeah, those are like rocks. You can throw them in anything.
Oh man, I had a tape player in my car until like 10 years ago. I had a freaking cassette tape player. Oh, yeah, and the old Toyota and Lexus rolled with the tape player for a long time. They're like, you still want one of these? Everyone's like, no, I'm good. Well, we're going to put it in anyway. All right, joining us on the program right now, he is Cole Bagley. He's our Utah Mammoth insider for KSLSports.com. 2 wins in a row for this club. Cole, are you impressed right now of these last 2 games? What's been the biggest difference, do you think?
It goes back to what we talked about last week of just effort, and a lot of that is maturity. You can't really say like, oh, this is one of the youngest teams in the National Hockey League anymore. In fact, I think they're like 18th or 19th. So,
how did we get so old? Yeah. Oh, Schmidt.
Yeah.
Nick Schmidt showed up. Vanacek showed up.
Yeah, the offseason was bringing in the older guys. But the thing that you can point to is that the stars on this team are still really young. You know, Logan Cooley and Dylan Gunther, JJ Peterka, Keller is even relatively young, Sergachev as well. And for those really young guys, it just comes down to maturity. It comes down to deciding to play with full effort, full energy every single night. And a lot of that's learning, right? Like a lot of that is figuring out how to be consistent. And as they've shown, that's still part of the process for the Mammoth right now. But yeah, I've been impressed with the last 2 games because they have decided to play with everything that they've got. They've been good in all the small details. That's what I talked with Clayton Keller about this morning was, look, their battles have been a lot better. They're back checking a lot better. They're making those kind of extra effort plays that make a big difference and go a long way. So yeah, I'm impressed, but they need to continue to impress me, if you will. Yeah,
we talked to Coach Bear last week. Right before last Friday, right before they started this 2-game win streak, and talking about everybody was talking about effort, and he kind of commended the guys for staying professional. What vibe have you got from him during kind of that lull, right? I think they lost 8 of the last 10 before that. But fighting through that, he's just like, it's a long season. You're going to have these ups and downs. You're going to have winning streaks. You're going to have losing streaks. What about him? What have you seen from him this past week in being able to handle those losses and get these guys ready to go?
Yeah, the biggest thing was after that Vegas loss.
Last Thursday.
Yeah, last Thursday. This coaching staff and this team, I think, really took that personally. Obviously, losing to Vegas is nothing to really
be down about. Yeah.
No, I mean they're one of the best teams in the NHL. They have some of the biggest stars. Jack Eichel, Mitch Marner. Plenty of really top tier talent, guys that are already named to Olympic hockey teams.
Right. Sure.
Eichel's arguably the best American player in the game right now. So nothing to really get too down about, but it shows how much they care. The fact that they wouldn't settle for that result. They went to work the next day, and that was the toughest practice I have seen Tourney hold probably through the entirety that Utah has been around, since the Mammoth have existed. And it was full contact, zone battles. It was guys going at each other, teammates going at each other, respecting each other, of course, but full contact, full physical, really sticking to each other in the crease area, hitting each other hard along the boards, battling hard, and throughout most of the day as well. It wasn't just if you lost, you did push-ups on the ice. It was if you lost possession, you did push-ups on the ice. And so it's always funny to see, like, NHL players doing adults doing those like push-up drills, because I remember doing those as a kid.
It's like your coach going, "Hey, take a lap, Tanev." Exactly. It's like, geez, what?
and that guy makes a lot more money than you do, but you're in charge and you get to tell him. So, yeah, I think for me that's what's been impressive is that the coaching staff and the players would not settle for that kind of a result. I think it was more the culmination of how they've played recently as opposed to just that game. But that's when they put their foot down. They said, enough's enough. We got to figure this out. They've relied on their veterans. The young guys, the kids have stepped up. And, yeah, they've played really good hockey for the last 2 games.
When we talked a little bit about, some of the struggles with this team before this, obviously, winning changes a lot of those attitudes, right. But it's also just, kind of getting back to where I think that they had been previously. I think was part of that. It was like they had lost something in that kind of streak of between when they went 8-2, winning 7 in a row to the spot that we were sitting right like this last week and we're going, ooh, and I remember actually thinking to myself, man, I hope they win because it's not going to be a very fun conversation with Bear the next day. And of course, then they get their butts kicked by Vegas on Thursday, and Bear answered the tough questions. What has he done as a coach, do you think? Because a lot of people were going, get Bear out of here. You do the fired up like, I don't like how this guy's coaching. What has changed from like the tactical standpoint that you've seen? Because obviously the effort part and asking your guys to play hard, that's one thing. But what changes were made from the tactical standpoint? Anything from the lines perspective that you thought? Because we talked about that too. It's like, man, some of this stuff might need to change up. Has any of that changed at all?
There has been some changes. I don't know if it's necessarily if that's like a direct result of these wins. But yeah, I mean, Cooley and Gunther are back together, which is a big deal. I wrote about this in my column the other night. I believe the team is 10-6 when they play on the same line, or 10-5 when they're on the same line, as opposed to 11-6 or 1-6 when they're not together. That's pretty significant, right? Like that shows how much of an X factor those two are. And then when Logan Cooley gets on the stat sheet, Utah is 8-3 in those games. So those two are definitely an X factor. And yeah, I know a lot of people as well have been like, well, why isn't JJ Peterka playing with them again? Well, since he's changed the lines quite a bit recently. And one of the biggest changes was against Buffalo about 2 weeks ago. He put Peterka on the third line. Peterka's got 5 or 6 points since that change. So he was the only one really, beneficiary of those changes. And when things are going right and players are scoring goals and production's happening,
they're usually okay with that.
Yeah, right? You don't change it up. And, Gunther and Cooley just hung 7 points on Vegas a couple days ago. Right. So I think that's the explanation for why Peterka hasn't necessarily been reunited. They don't have the full kid line. But that's what I've noticed tactically. I think it is you need Cooley and Gunther playing together. That's just they should never be separated again moving forward. But then I think in terms of maybe his demeanor or his approach, there's definitely been a little bit of a change in Tourney, I think, over the last week. He's been a lot more forthcoming. He's been a lot more willing to share, and call things out and say things as they really are. Not that he wasn't before, but there's been a noticeable difference.
Do you think there's pressure, him feeling some kind of pressure to do
100%.
that? 100%.
I mean, this is a team that should make the playoffs, and to only win 2 games over the stretch of 11 is unacceptable. Right. So yeah, I think that he kind of realized like, whoa, things are real here in Utah. This isn't Arizona anymore. And he's seen this team through the rebuild. There has never been pressure like this.
I don't think that this team doesn't sneak losses past the general public. I think that's the kind of thing that I think Arizona got away with, right? Like you think about it, you're like, and that doesn't happen here. And I know fans looked like they were a little bit too aggressive about. I was like, all right, slow the roll a little bit, like on the fire the coach Tourney stuff. But at the same time, like, there are things that you look at and you go, okay, if there's this team and you have all these guys, the organization also looks and goes, hey man, we're asking you to delicately but quickly get these lines together and get these millionaires playing well together because we're signing them up for long term. And we want you to be here long term too, but the only way that you stay, these guys are staying here. Right. All right.
We can't fire the players.
Right. And you don't want to. Why would you want to not have Cooley and Gunther together for the next 7 or 8 years?
Right.
So in that sense, I think it was interesting because it was a moment that the market hadn't dealt with yet. So, Canadians tonight, Montreal comes into town. What are we expecting for this type of a matchup? How winnable of a game is this for this Utah hockey or the Utah Mammoth?
It's very winnable, but it's funny how similar these two teams are. Honestly, I think the Canadians are the Mammoth of the Eastern Conference. These are two young teams, relatively young teams with very young stars. Cole Caulfield being one of those. So to be honest, I don't know what we're going to see tonight. You never know. I mean, you're getting two teams that on any given night, either of these guys can put 7 on the other net or 7 in their own net. And so, and that's what we saw in Montreal a couple weeks ago. Yeah. It was a close game, but then Montreal pulled away and it was 6-3. So what I do expect is a very fast game, a high-paced game, and I think those are your X factors as they're going to be all season for Utah. It's Cooley and Gunther. I think, and when those guys are flying, when those guys are playing well, Utah wins hockey games. And the same thing can be said for Montreal. When Cole Caulfield is playing really, really good, when Lane Hudson is playing really, really good, that team is winning hockey games. So that for me is, I think whichever team can get the most out of their young stars will end up winning tonight.
Cole Bagley covers the Utah Mammoth for KSLSports.com, and you want to get the hat trick afterward, you're going to get it from Cole. It's an awesome read every time, every game, no matter what. You're going to get the breakdown of those games from Cole, and it's awesome to be able to get that. We have an awesome resource in Cole being in the building. So, hey, have fun over there. We'll be watching, see how this thing goes down. So thanks for hanging out, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
We'll take a break. We'll come back. We have best and worst next. Wrapping up this hour. Stay here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Wrapping up the hour with our picks for the best and worst moments on today's show. As JJ and Alex want to hear your best and worst of the day.
Did we give away those Nate Bargatze tickets? Those phone lines probably lit up, didn't they? We love that clean comedy here in Utah. Did you hear that word he said? It wasn't a cuss word. Good for you. Let me see here. Got best and worst. All brought to you by the good folks at the Doug Smith dealerships in American Fork Spanish working in Linden. Nobody knows cars like Doug. Go check it out for yourself. The best, North Texas's head coach Eric Morris. This is how you do it, by the way. If you're, I think, a team like Oklahoma State, I think they hit a home run with Eric Morris. It's a young guy. He is a run and gun guy, spread offense. You know why? Mike Leach coaching tree. Wow. That gets me going. I like the Mike Leach coaching tree, man. The Mike Leach coaching tree doesn't necessarily have a lot of defense in it, but I don't care. Spread it out and get some scores. But he's a guy in his 30s. He's a guy who's on the up and up. And Oklahoma State needed a win. I think that was a good win for them. I think that. Yeah. And by the way, they hired Mike Gundy when he was in his late 30s. You know what I mean? Like, let's get it going. Let's see if we can start up somebody else being, stay there for 20 seasons.
Yeah, how many offensive guys came out of Tony Dungy's coaching tree, right?
Yeah.
I feel like a coaching tree is like when you say a guy's name like Bill Parcells or Bill Belichick or something like that. It's a particular phase of the game, either defense or offense.
The by far worst of the day was last night having to listen to Hunter Yurachek, the committee chair for the College Football Playoff Committee, answering questions with Reese Davis when he was asked specifically about, are you guys making decisions on Ole Miss as they dropped, based off of the coaching situation there? Here's what the question sounded like. Here's what the more inane answer sounded like.
But there was a change at 6-7 with Oregon and Ole Miss swapping spots. How much of an impact potentially could it be on Ole Miss if it's determined they don't have their head coach in the field?
6-7. But seriously, Rich, we didn't have any discussion about Ole Miss and their coach. That was.
I don't want to hear the explanation at all.
No, was it?
Dude, it was so bad. Okay, we put the crickets in.
I mean, of course.
But there was enough. But there was a gap in there. Alex Napples, our bruiser, knows it was like this 6-7, and he did the. The hand gesture?
He did
yes,
the hand
he did.
too?
Yes, he freaking did. And everyone's like this.
I think
What?
that's why they made the change, just so he can lay that joke and it not land.
I was talking to Mitch Harper about this because we did this on 1st and 12 last night because it happened, and Mitch goes, you know what? I think this is good because now 6-7, if it's not dead tonight, it will be dead soon when 64-year-old CFP Selection Committee. But it just shows you how unserious that this is, right?
Right.
It just shows you how
committee's a joke.
I know when you make that kind of a thing, and then he goes, but seriously, Rich. His name's Reese Davis, by the way. But seriously, Rich. So you make a dumb joke. I hope that he sat in that awkward silence and was like, oh gosh, my grandkids are gonna kill me. My wife's going to kill me for saying that. The country's going to kill me for saying that because that was so dumb. It just came across the whole
Probably
committee.
got
Was so
so
stupid.
much money. Just catch my checks. I don't care.
Ridiculous. All right. More to go around the corner. We'll get you ready for Utah Mammoth hockey. Stay right here, dialed in, 97.5 VKSL Sports Zone.